What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel in this episode of The Creator's Moment, providing you a daily dose of motivation and inspiration as you consciously create your world. Today's principle is keep going. Keep going. There are two stories I want to tell you to help illustrate this point. The first one is called Acres of Diamonds. It's a really old story about a man a long time ago who bought a piece of land in this country because he heard that there were diamonds there. And so he gets the land, he buys all the equipment he needs, he hires workers, and he sets out to dig. Now, while he's digging, he's not finding anything. He's digging for weeks, and the weeks turn into months, the months turn into years, and nothing. While there are others around him who are finding these diamonds, he hasn't found anything. And so after a while, he gives up and just leaves everything where it is. And then there's another gentleman who comes along and sees what he has started doing. He saw what this first gentleman has started, and he decided to buy the land and all the equipment and probably even hire some of the same workers to come back and keep digging. And so after years of this other gentleman digging and not finding anything, within the first day, when this new gentleman had bought the land and the equipment, within the first day, he found the diamonds. And the second story is similar, but kind of not related. But it's about when Jesus' disciples were in a boat on the water and they saw Jesus walking on the water. And Peter, in his excitement, sees Jesus and says, "Hey, if that's you, call me out there and I'll come to you." And Jesus calls him out. And Peter's out there walking on the water with Jesus. And then he begins to look around and recognize that he probably shouldn't be walking on the water because it's not something that we do. And so he begins to sink. Jesus saves him out of the water from drowning and puts him in the boat. And he asks him a question. He said, "When did you doubt?" Oftentimes our lives reflect different aspects of these two stories. We'll start particular endeavors, whether it be creative, professional, relational, or otherwise. Or we'll find ourselves in difficult moments. We'll find ourselves in difficult situations, and we don't believe that we can fully overcome them. We don't fully believe that we can actually move through them in a successful way. But when you keep going, you recognize that this entire process of life, of living, is not about what we become totally. What the process truly is about our becoming, right? It's about being in the moment while we are being made. Similar to the story of the Acres of Diamonds, many of us don't even realize what's right in front of us. Many of us don't realize what's already inside of us. And so we stop short of the fullness of that we could be. We stop short of the fullness that we are simply because we're not seeing the results in a timely fashion. Simply because we're not succeeding as fast as we believe we should probably be succeeding. And to be honest, there are different things we need to work on that would allow us to move forward much faster. But we have to get out of our minds the idea that it's not possible. We have to release every limiting doubt that would inform us, we probably can't do this. That it's not going to happen for us. Although it's happening for so many other people are starting and succeeding, but we're not them. They're not us. They don't have the problems and the weights and the hurt and the trauma that we've had. They haven't had our life. They don't know our struggle. But I'll tell you what, something I firmly believe because I've seen it in my own life and the lives of many people that I've worked with, even in coaching. When you stick to your word, when you stick to what it is that you are creating, you will succeed every time. Every single time. Unless, right, of course, there are nuances to this idea. Unless there are just practical considerations, unless there are literal physical considerations to be taken into account, right? But even the most extreme of circumstances can have a workaround. Because there was a time, and I mentioned it in a previous video, there was a time people didn't believe that humans could fly, but the Wright brothers gave us that. You wouldn't think that it was possible for humanity to exist and kind of swim underwater for an extended period of time. But we have scuba equipment. right? We have oxygen tanks and we have things that we need in order to circumvent certain physical limitations. The question then becomes, how long are you willing to stay in the process? How resourceful are you willing to be? How creative are you going to be? Are you going to allow infinite mind and God to inform what it is that you're doing? Because that's what it takes. Within ourselves, we don't have all the answers. We do have all the answers inside of ourselves, but not within our egoic conscious minds. It takes tapping into a different level. It takes tapping into a different understanding. And this is where the story of Peter reflects, because Peter was looking at the moment from his human perspective, from his limited egoic conscious mind. He's seeing himself walking on the water. He says, hey, this isn't for me. I'm not supposed to be here. Meanwhile, he's literally walking out there with Christ, who's chilling. Jesus was cooling. And if Peter would have adopted Jesus's perspective, if Peter would have held on to what he was seeing in Christ, he would have been okay. By keeping his eyes focused on what Jesus was doing, by keeping his mind focused on that perspective, he wouldn't have allowed the doubt to creep in from his human side, from his humanness, from his frail personhood, his frail humanity. That's why Jesus asked him, he's like, yo, you were doing it. When did you doubt? And that brings up another point. I was having this conversation with a friend a couple days ago, and they pointed out, they say, hey, we often focus on Peter sinking, but we don't really put much emphasis on the fact that he was actually walking on the water, and that we ourselves oftentimes in our own lives are walking on water and don't even realize it. Or the stress of the moment can crowd out that awareness, right? The seeming difficulty of the times can cause us to overlook the fact that we're doing something that's actually pretty miraculous to begin with. And this is why maintaining a higher perspective, maintaining the thoughts that will actually keep us going is so essential. So we can't focus on what it is we feel like we don't have, what it is we feel like that we're missing. We can't focus on what it is that we think will allow us to move forward that much faster, because it's not about getting anywhere. It's not about completing a thing as much as it is about becoming a thing. We all have potentials beyond our wildest conceptions. We all have abilities beyond anything that we could really imagine. I feel like the technology that we have, cheap imitations of things that we can already do innately. But we're so disconnected from that aspect of ourselves that we need telephones to communicate with one another. All right. We need to speak verbally in order to convey a message. These are just thoughts. So I want you to focus on where it is that you are. Focus on what it is that you're becoming. Remember that from a higher perspective, you're already doing the thing. You are already literally walking on water. You have been doing the impossible. God in you has already been making you and molding you and shaping you into what it is that he desires for you to be. So do not give up. Do not quit, because success, right, can occur within the very next moment. Don't be like the man who gave up on digging just before he reached his goal. Right before the moment that would have justified and redeemed every moment prior. You can't give up just because you haven't seen it yet. You have to know with everything in your being, with everything in your heart, that you are going to accomplish this mission, that you are going to accomplish this goal, whatever it is. You can and you will do it. Just don't give up. Keep going.